Hello, everyone. I'm going to take a little bit of time here to go over the course syllabus with you. I'm not going to read through the entire thing word for word, section by section. I'm just going to hit the highlights, the information that I think you need to be aware of right here at the beginning of the term. But you are encouraged to go ahead and look through the syllabus on your own so that you can read through the sections that I might skip over or only mention briefly. But I really just want to make sure that we are on the same page as far as some of the most important elements are concerned. All right, so when you look at the syllabus, the first thing that you want to sort of pay attention to is over here on the right side, right at the top. This is something that I mentioned in the video for how to find your way around, but I want to reiterate it here. It is a 4 credit hour class that we are taking. That equals 40 lecture hours spread over 10 weeks. That's where the 4 comes from, right? 40 lecture hours total spread over 10 weeks means 4 hours a week that you would be in class if we were on campus. But you'll notice additional outside hours is 20, right? Spread over 10 weeks is 2. So 4 plus 2 equals 6. 6 hours a week you are expected to spend on this course. 4 of those hours we would normally spend in the classroom learning the material, going through the lessons, and then 2 hours of homework each week. This is an online course though, so you're doing it all on your own from the convenience of your home whenever it works best for your schedule, but it's still 6 hours a week, okay? A lot of students think that this class is too much work. But when they're asked, well, how much time did you spend on the class each week? The answer is never more than 6. So if you are spending 6 hours or less a week on this class, it is not too much work. It is the amount of work it's supposed to be. If you are consistently spending more than 6 hours a week on this class, then you need to let me know that, okay? Because if it is something that multiple students are experiencing, then we have a problem, right? But if the majority of students are spending 6 hours a week or less on English 200, then it's not too much work. It's just different because you're having to do it all on your own. The upside of that is, though, you don't have to come to class every week, and you can do that 6 hours however it works best for you throughout the week. Right? Next information here is my cell phone number. This is also listed under the Meet Your Instructor subtab of the Getting Started section in the course content, but it is here on the syllabus as well. That is my personal cell phone number. Now, a lot of the text messages that I will send to you, actually, all of the text messages that I will send to you come from the school's communication system. So when you text me back, it goes to my email, not my phone. Now, I check my email at least once a day, so I will get your message, fairly quickly. But if there's ever a time that you really need to communicate with me, you can text my personal cell phone. Identify yourself, please, but I make myself available to students in that manner. So personal cell phone right there. This is my school email address, right? Most of the time you'll probably just be responding to my email. So, all right, so let's look here at our course description. It's a composition course. So what we will be focusing on is actually sort of it's a two-pronged adventure here. You're looking at the objectives. The first half of these objectives all involve basic essay writing skills. So composing an effective thesis statement, demonstrating proficiency in writing skills based on criteria of standard essay structure and English usage. Composing a clear, coherent, unified essay organized around a central idea and using a variety of techniques for support. Demonstrating understanding of and effective use of paragraph structure, including topic sentences, supporting examples, and transition sentences. Demonstrating effective use of introductions and conclusions. Read, analyze, and discuss reading with an understanding of structure and mechanics. Employ the various stages of the writing process, including brainstorming, outlining, drafting, revising, and editing. Identifying effective writing techniques in his or her essays and peer writing. All of those bullet points relate to basic essay writing skills. What you would cover in a first-year composition course at other universities, right? Basic essay writing, basic composition. We spend 2 weeks on most of that. The heart of those bullet points, basic essay writing skills, we cover in week 1 and week 2. Because the rest of these bullets are all about APA format and research writing. You need to learn how to effectively employ quotation, paraphrase, and summary. You need to effectively employ correct citation style, including parenthetical, in-text citation, and works cited pages. That refers to APA format. Employing various support for claims, including concrete, significant, and specific examples, illustrations, anecdotes, facts, and reasons. That's your research. Demonstrate an ability to recognize and avoid plagiarism. That's doing research correctly. Evaluating sources for relevance and reliability. Using sources for your research that are credible. And demonstrating the ability to write for an academic audience, an elevated essay. So, this class is a double whammy. It is basic essay skills plus APA and research. The APA and research is the more complex component, which is why we spend more time on those objectives than we do the first set of objectives. It's going to seem quick in weeks 1 and week 2 to go through introductory paragraphs, thesis statements, body paragraphs, topic sentences and transitions, concluding paragraphs. It's going to feel like a whirlwind of basic essay writing skills. And it's quick. But the research component, knowing what APA format is, how to use it, how to find good sources, how to effectively use information from those sources. What information should I use from each source? How do I incorporate that information? Should I summarize it? Should I paraphrase it? Should I use a direct quote? And then, no matter which way I incorporate it, no matter which of those techniques I use, how do I cite it? How do I make sure that I'm doing it properly? How do I make sure that I have a reference page that is properly formatted? The APA and research is where students typically need the most help. So we go through the first half of these objectives pretty quickly, and we focus on APA and research writing. Okay, it's a double whammy. It's almost like an advanced composition course. When I went to college, most students took Comp 1 and then Comp 2. Comp 1 was a whole semester of basic essay writing. Comp 2 was a whole semester of research and either APA or MLA format. 2 separate classes. The students who were actually English majors or who simply, tested really well in high school in English, they took the advanced composition class, which combined them. And that is essentially what this class does. You are taking the objectives from a typical Comp 1 class with the objectives from a typical Comp 2 class and combining them into one course. So it is jam-packed, this course is. I'm not going to lie, it is not easy. But this is why. So I really want you to think about these objectives. This is what ATA expects you to gain, expects you to learn and master by taking this course. So it will seem fast-paced because it is, right? Okay, we've got grading scale. Let's look here at the distribution of grades. So these are the categories of grades that you'll receive throughout the class. You will have one category for discussion, right? Weekly discussion. There will be 6 total. There are, a few weeks out of the term where you don't have a discussion because you're working on a course project part at that point. So there's 6 discussions total, and they are worth 15% of your overall grade. If you start missing weekly discussions, it will impact your overall grade significantly. There is the assignments category, right? So most weeks, you'll have, actually half the term, you will have one assignment each week that falls under this category. There are 5 of them total. There's only 5. And they are worth 20% of your grade. And they are graded according to correctness. I get into this a little later, but I just want to bring it up here while we're talking about how much of your grade they're worth. If you do really poorly on the assignments that fall under this category, it's going to be tough to do well in the class. The essay basics assignment from week 2 falls under this category. The APA and the research and plagiarism assignment in week 3 falls under this category. The integrating sources assignment from week 5 falls under this category. The peer review assignment in week 7 falls under this category. And the course evaluation assignment in week 9 falls under this category. 5 total. Most of those are 3 out of the 5 you actually get a grade for. So if you miss questions, points will get deducted. You'll be given a chance to make corrections. I'll talk about that later. There's only 5 of these, and they're worth 20% of the grade. Then we have our course project. It is broken up into 4 parts, but total, it is worth 50% of your grade. Project part 1 is 10% of that 50%. Project part 2 is 15% of that 50. Project part 3 is 15 of that 50. And project part 4 is 60% of that 50. The course project is the cornerstone of this course. It is a research paper. You will learn more about it here in week 1. You'll get started on it here in week 1. But it is the focus. It is the main focus of the class. And then we have our reflective essay. There's only one of them. You'll do it in week 10. It is not nearly as formal as the course project research paper is. And you'll basically be given the questions, the prompt ahead of time so that you can prepare. But it's a reflective essay. You'll be reflecting on your experience in the class with the course project, and that's worth 15%. So you can see there's, if you're looking at this, there's, you will only submit 16 items, 17, because the integrating sources assignment is broken up into 2 parts. So you will technically submit 17 items for this course. And each of them has an impact on your overall grade in a big way. So going back to that 6 hours of work each week, you can see why it's important to be prepared to spend that much time on this class each week. The objectives are monstrous. The material itself is not easy. And everything you submit for the class is impactful in terms of your overall grade. You know, I'm here along the way to help you as much as I possibly can, but I like giving students this information up front, explaining all of this, because while it seems scary and overwhelming, and it is, if you know this ahead of time, it can help ensure that you don't let yourself fall behind. All right. Okay, let's take a look here at some other information. You guys can come back and read that on your own if you'd like. Oh, we have the course outline, right? So this is a week by week rundown of the lessons we will cover each week, what assignments are due that week. There's not a ton of specific details included here on the course outline, but it is a nice, you know, way to sort of plan things out. You can kind of look, all of the big project parts are highlighted in yellow here, you know, and you can kind of look and see, you know, if you need to plan ahead. Like, so say, you know, here in a few weeks, you might be going out of town. All right, and you can say, okay, well, let's come here. It looks like that'll be week 6. What's happening in week 6? Project part 3. Oh, that's the rough draft of our research paper. I might need to get ahead of the game because I'm going to be out of town that week. And that's a big, big deal that we're submitting project part 3. So it's a good way to help you plan your schedule, you know, plan out a little bit if needed, and just have a general idea of what we'll be doing each week, what assignments are due each week, that sort of thing. But I would not count on this for a lot of explanation. It's really just a general idea of the schedule for the term. Down here, we have my personal policies, respect policy. I've never run into any issues with students in the discussion forums being anything but friendly and respectful. So I don't really anticipate that being a problem, but I do need to at least remind everyone that it is an academic space. It is a professional space, and therefore we should conduct ourselves accordingly when we are posting to a prompt and responding to each other. Attendance policy. I don't have any extra attendance policy. It's just ATA's policy, which is, remember, you can't miss more than 20% of a course. So for this class, you can't miss more than 2 weeks. Once you miss a 3rd week, you are then at risk for being withdrawn from the class, right? You know, but it is in your best interest to treat this just like you would an on-ground course, as I have stated a couple of times already. You know, not only is being present each week necessary to stay enrolled so that you're getting attendance credit each week, but being present each week also helps make sure that you aren't falling behind, because remember, a lot of the assignments in this class have those release conditions attached to them. So, you know, you have to go through, for example, you have to go through the lessons in week 1 before you can even access project part 1. And to access the essay basics assignment in week 2, you have to have submitted project part 1 and reviewed the lessons in week 2. So, you know, you essentially can't move forward until you are caught up on previous assignments and the current week's lessons. So if you fall 2 weeks behind, you're really 3 weeks behind, because you can't just pick up and start on the, now, let me just first of all say that does not include the weekly discussions. The discussions have no release conditions other than the attendance quiz for that week. So as soon as the week starts and you take the attendance quiz, you will see the discussion, have access to it, you can post, right? I'm talking about the other assignments and course project parts. You cannot just, miss 2 weeks. Let's say you didn't go through the material in weeks 2 or 3, and you posted to the discussion, but you didn't submit any of the other assignments for week 2 or week 3. And then you decide in week 4, okay, I'm gonna spend some time on English 200. You could post to the week 4 discussion, but you cannot access that week 4 assignment, which is project part 2, until you have gone back and submitted the research and plagiarism assignment from week 3. But you can't submit the research and plagiarism assignment until you've gone through the week 3 lessons and submitted the essay basic assignment from week 2. Everything in this course builds from one week to the next. And that is why I have set it up this way. Is because if you miss a couple of weeks of lessons and assignments, and then you try to hop back into the course and pick up where we are currently, you will be lost. You will not be able to complete the assignments and do what you're supposed to do to the best of your ability. So every week, there are assignments that have release conditions attached to them, and those release conditions include that current week's lesson and the previous week's assignment. You have to stay caught up. So attendance in this course is so essential. Now, falling behind 1 week might not be the end of the world, and sometimes it just might happen, right? I don't want you to feel like that you have to stress yourself out to the max to never be late with something in this class. Life happens, but it will make it a little tougher, but we can get past it, we'll move forward, we'll get it done. I'm just saying in general, you do not want to let yourself fall behind in this class if there's any way to prevent it, because everything builds and it's like a chain reaction, okay? If you start falling behind, if it, for whatever reason, maybe your other classes are just super hard, maybe something's going on at home, maybe something's going on at work, reach out to me, okay? I can help sort of, steer you in the right direction, even just give you encouragement if needed, but also help you prioritize and say, okay, this is what you need to work on right now. Once you get that submitted, I will tell you what you should work on next to get you back on track as quickly as possible. Because again, life does happen, but do not think that you can just let this class slide and then pick right back up and move forward. Unfortunately, this class is not going to work that way. So keep that in mind and reach out if you need to. My late work policy. Okay, again, life happens, right? As much as we want to say that we're not going to fall behind, we have no control over certain things in the universe, right? So every category of grading has its own late work policy, okay? For anything that falls under the assignment category. So again, really technically 6 items because we've got essay basics in week 2, APA and plagiarism in week 3, integrating sources in week 5, which is technically a 2-parter, so, but it's still 1 assignment. And then the peer review in week 7 and the course evaluation in week 9. Those items fall under this assignment category. If I agree to accept the assignment late, you will have 1 week to turn in the assignment after the due date and still receive full credit. So basically, let's say the assignment's here in week 1, they are due this Sunday night. If you reach out to me and you're like, hey, I'm working on project part 1, but I don't think I'm going to have it. Actually, project part 1 wouldn't count. The syllabus acknowledgement. I don't have that, quite finished yet. I haven't had time to look over the video. Can I turn that in late? And I'll say, yeah, sure. It's due Sunday night of week 1. If you get it submitted by Sunday night of week 2, anytime during that week, I will count it as being turned in on time. Right? But for every week past that, there is a 10% reduction in points. Now, hopefully, because all of these release conditions and those chain reactions, hopefully this doesn't even become a problem. Hopefully everyone is able to get things turned in on time, or at least within that 1 week window where it would still be counted for full credit. But if by chance you have to go more than 1 week past the due date, there is a 10% reduction in points for each week the assignment is late. And no late work will be accepted past week 8. So if you're not caught up by then, there's really no coming back from it at that point. The discussion, okay? 6 out of our 10 weeks, there will be a weekly discussion. Your first post is due on Thursday night, and then you need to respond to 2 classmates by Sunday night. Now, the discussion won't close that Sunday night. It will stay open for 1 additional week, but if you post during that additional week, it's only for 50% credit. So you really want to make sure that you are posting and responding to 2 classmates by Sunday night of each week and not going into that extra time, so that you can get 20 out of 20 on every discussion. Remember, they're worth 15% of your overall grade. Now, some points, half points is better than no points. So if something happens and you do miss a discussion, definitely still post to it during that extra week. Again, 10 out of 20 is still better than 0 out of 20. But once that extra week ends, then that discussion will close for good. So for example, the week 1 discussion is due this Sunday night. And if you complete it by Sunday night, according to the instructions, you'll get 20 out of 20 points. It will be open though during week 2. But if you post during week 2, it's only for half credit. And at the end of week 2, the week 1 discussion closes for good and you'll no longer have access to it. Okay? For the course project parts, right? It's 4 project parts, each one assigned at a different point throughout the term. Project part 1 is due at the end of week 1. If you submit it anytime during week 2, I will still count it as on time, and you'll get full points for it, assuming you've completed it in full. But if you submit it anytime after week 2, there will be a 10% reduction in points for each additional week it is late. And remember, the whole course project is worth 50% of your overall grade. Each project part is worth a certain percentage of that 50. The more points that you lose, the harder it is to really do well and get as much as you can out of that 50% that the course project is worth. Plus, you know, if you're going that long without turning it in, that means you are falling behind in the class, and we just don't want that. But I do give you that 1 week leeway, just like I do with the items here under the assignments category. So project part 2 is due at the end of week 4, but if you turn it in anytime during week 5, I will count it as on time. Every week after that is 10% off. Project part 3 is due at the end of week 6. If you have it submitted anytime during week 7, I will count it on time. After that, 10% reduction. Project part 4, though, which is the final draft of your research paper. Project part 4 will be due the Wednesday of week 9. If you submit it by the Friday of week 9, I will treat it as on time. But if you submit it after Friday of week 9, so Saturday or Sunday, there will be a 10% reduction for each day it is late. Okay. I will not accept project part 4 after the Monday of week 10. Week 10 is the last week of the course. It is a short week. It only goes from Monday to Thursday. You will be working on your reflective essay during those 4 days, actually 3 days, because it's due Wednesday night. So there's no way that we can be worrying about project part 4 once week 10 starts. So project part 4 is due the Wednesday of week 9. I will give you 2 extra days to get it turned in before taking points off. But after that, you get a 10% reduction in points for each day it's late. And once Monday rolls around of week 10, I won't accept it. And you will more than likely fail the class because of that. Okay. Communication is essential if you start to fall behind, especially with the course project and that final draft, that project part 4. So, reach out to me because, if circumstances advise it, we can come up with an arrangement, an agreement. But if I'm not hearing from you and you try to submit project part 4 on Monday of week 10, I will not accept it. You will receive a 0 on it and most likely fail the class. If we have been communicating and I am aware of your situation and you have said, I will get it turned in Monday by noon, I'll say, okay, you can do that. We're good. And you get it turned in Monday by noon, we're fine. But if we do not have an arrangement already in place, I will not accept project part 4 past Monday going into week 10. It is so important to stay on top of things in this class. I'm not going to say it's easy, it's important. Plagiarism policy. Plagiarism is the intentional or accidental misrepresentation of someone else's works or research as your own. We will have a whole lesson on what plagiarism is in week 3. But what you need to know is that all the work you submit for this class needs to be new and not submitted for any other course. All the work submitted for this class must be your own original ideas and words unless you are working on a course project part and using sources. But even then, the source material must be cited properly. You should not need to be really using any source information until project part 3 and project part 4, your rough draft and your final draft. You won't need to refer to any sources for project part 1. You will need to find your sources by project part 2 and list them, but you're not going to be, writing anything with the source material just yet. None of your discussions should use source material. None of your other assignment, you just do your own work. And when you are asked or required to use outside sources, you may do so, but they must be cited properly. Okay. Okay, let's see. Kind of already gone through and described what each category of grading is. We've got the discussions, the weekly assignments, the course project, the reflective essay. Here is the list of release conditions here in the syllabus. Again, remember you can find a sub-tab for the release conditions under the Getting Started section. And it's exactly what it looks like here, but it's here in the syllabus as well as a place to come back to. Super important to remember those release conditions. I mean, you don't have to memorize what release conditions go with which assignment. You're saying, don't forget that there are release conditions for certain assignments. And don't forget that you can go to that section under Getting Started to see what the release conditions are for each assignment. All right, that brings us to the end here. This is the syllabus receipt. If we were in the classroom, you would fill this out and hand it back to me. But as you can see right here, instead of doing that, there is an assignment in week 1 where you will state that you have read the syllabus and watched this video. And that's all you'll need to do. You do not need to do anything with this sheet, right? Okay, so reach out if you have questions. I know that was a lot to take in, and I know it probably sounded so scary and overwhelming to hear just how much we're going to cover in this class, how much each week builds on the next, how it's almost impossible to let yourself really fall behind. You know, and it is, it's not an easy class. It packs a big punch, but I'm here if you need help in any way. You know, life does happen. So while I have the course set up to hopefully prevent students from falling behind, I don't want you to give up immediately if you do start to fall behind. Reach out to me, you know, I will help you, but, you know, you have to reach out first. Otherwise, you know, just do your best, you know, do your best to stay on top of things each week and keep the lines of communication open with me so that I know what's going on if things, you know, start to get a little wonky for you. Okay. If you have questions about anything in the syllabus, any of the policies, anything else that might have popped into your mind while we were going through this, definitely, you know, shoot me a message or an email and I will get back as soon as I can. Otherwise, you guys are free to go ahead and move on to the next item.